All right, everyone, this is DJ Tsu from Three Black Geeks, and we are here at Otakon 2019, and today we're talking music, and I have two guests. So please introduce yourself, sir.
How you guys doing? I'm IQ. Nice to meet you.
Peace, everybody. I'm Marcus D.
All right, it's good to have you two here. Welcome to Otakon.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. How you guys enjoying the con so far? Yeah.
Grab the mic. Sure. Is that how that work, or you need to hold it? Or?
Right here.
All right, cool. So far, the con's been really dope, man. I've only been to a couple before. I think I actually went to Katsucon in National Harbor back in like 2012 for the first Nujabes tribute. And I'm back here at Otakon in 2019 doing it again. And feels like it kind of came full circle, you know. So I'm really happy to be here, and you know, everybody's been real welcoming and real dope. So
That's awesome. Awesome. Very awesome. And you?
Oh man, I've had a good time, but more importantly, I'm just enjoying these guys. Like when your heroes walk into the building, man, it's just a great feeling, you know. And I guess to have it here at Otakon is it's a big honor.
That's great. Great. So Marcus, my question for you is: you own a record label out in Tokyo, correct?
right. Yeah, it's called Absolutzero, and I moved out to Tokyo permanently, or officially back like 3 years ago. But I've been back and forth since 2010, which was the first Nujabes tribute, right after he passed in Japan. So I've kind of been back and forth, half of my time there, half of my time in Seattle, where I'm from. And it was kind of difficult because I'd start to like learn the language and get used to the culture, and then I'd have to head back because I was on a tourist visa. So 3 months was like the maximum. But yeah, I'm out there right now, and I live there now. I'm just kind of getting my footing and everything, and getting my gears cleaner and learning more about the industry and distribution and stuff. So, but yeah, Tokyo is kind of the place to be if you're going to be doing anything anime or you know, chill hip hop or jazz hip hop related. So.
Because I lived out there myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I lived out there for about 7 years.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Senpai.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
Same. So being independent in Tokyo, what has been your challenges so far? Competing against the big guys over in Tokyo.
It's actually a really good question. I think the first most difficult thing, or the first obstacle I encountered, was just kind of being a foreigner, because anybody who's a foreigner in Japan in general, Tokyo, or not Tokyo especially, but Japan, just in general, it's more difficult, and you face a lot of hurdles and obstacles, which, that's kind of the key element of discrimination and racism in general. But, I think America has, plenty of problems with that. But in Japan, it's a very much like, people who come from different countries who might not necessarily know what discrimination is or ever experience it, or have the luxury of never experiencing it. It becomes readily apparent in Japan, because with a country that's still 99% native homogeneously, it's just natural to be kind of seen as the other, and really all humans want is to be included and feel camaraderie with our fellow people. So it's just it's kind of an interesting thing where that shows itself in the industry, where it makes it more difficult to make connections, even if you do speak the language. That definitely helps, but it'll always be kind of an inside-outside type of thing. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've run into. But for the most part, people are, even if they don't really feel, or they're not sincerely, polite, they're outwardly polite.
Right.
So overall, I mean, Japanese people are extremely nice, and overall, it's not any huge obstacles, like personally that I've experienced, but just in general, not being Japanese is probably the biggest obstacle that anybody can face in Japan.
I see. I see. And so, so have the both of you done like performances out in Tokyo, or do you do shows in America as well?
Oh, I've never performed in Japan. I look to change that in the very near future. Um, I play all over the U.S. though.
You'd like it over there.
Yeah, I already know I'd like it. I can't wait to go one day.
That's good. That's good. So, so now, so I guess my question for you would be, for Samurai Champloo, seeing that you guys did the tribute for Nujabes after he passed, um, were you ever approached to to work with him at any time?
So I think in 2008, I believe, I released a vinyl EP or single with Substantial through a Japanese label called Elevation. Um, and at that time, or the single was called Day in the Life, and it was backed with, or no, it was My Favorite Things backed with A Day in the Life, which was me and Substantial's new song. And at that time, Nujabes had started following me on MySpace. He was following like my blog, and we added each other on MySpace. But before I actually had the chance to go over to Japan and meet him, he was, had passed away, unfortunately. So now I think I've spent, a long time kind of living, not necessarily in his shadow, but kind of trying to pick up some of the pieces where the people that he worked with, I was extremely influenced by him. So trying to find my own sound within his sound, being influenced by him, because everybody starts with certain different amount of people that they're inspired by. But when you finally are able to make your own sound based on all of those things, like Shingo was saying the other day, you take all of your influences and you spit it out through your filter, and that's what hip hop is. So for me, he was obviously a big influence, but I have a lot of influences, so I think that kind of structures my sound. But to answer the question, officially, the first time that I went to Japan was for his passing of his tribute. And Shingo, I DJ'd for Shingo Tsu at that show. And I work with Hideout now, and I'm close with his brother and a lot of the people that worked with him. So for the most part, it's an honor to, kind of be included in that group. And by the graciousness of all of those guys, I've been included for a long time, since I was like 18 years old, and I'm 29 now. So it's been a long time, but I honestly couldn't have picked better people to, spend my career with. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, do either of you have any future work with Shingo, like any future projects? I'll start with you.
No.
None. Okay. Okay, Marcus,
Oh,
back
wait,
to you.
hold on. I
With
don't mean
Shingo.
it. Listen, I want nothing more than that, right? But at this current point in time, like, no.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I
nothing
don't-
currently.
Nothing currently.
Okay.
Like, no.
You'd like to, but nothing currently. I got you. I got you. How about you, Marcus?
So I think Shingo and I have done about 4 or 5 tracks together in the past, and the way that I met him was through a remix of Lovesick Part 3 that I did, and he messaged me on YouTube and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in Seattle like next week. Do you want to link up?" I was like, "Oh, wow," because I first off, I didn't expect him to hear it, and second off, if he did hear it, I thought he might, be mad that somebody remixed his stuff. But if you know Shingo, like, that's the exact opposite of how he is. He, like, openly welcomes collaboration. So he kind of mentored me, for a minute, and we ended up making a song called Parallel Universe at that time. And that was right before the tribute. So I think that was July, and the tribute was in August. So when we linked up, he asked me if I wanted to DJ for him when we were in Tokyo. And then after that, we made a couple more songs. And right now, we had a track that was called "The Fox and the Wolf" that we created for a guy named Ollie that he passed away. I think it's about 4 years ago now. And his mom asked us if we could basically make a track using his poetry. So he had written poems, and he was a huge fan of Shingo Tsu, and then he was a fan of my music as well. And she contacted us and asked if we could possibly turn his poetry into a song and produce it. So we worked on that for a while, and Shingo was, he basically transcribed exactly, like the words exactly, so that he could use the actual poetry, and he made it into a song and made it, rhyme, flow perfectly. But she recently asked us if we would be interested in kind of remaking it and making it a little bit shorter and more easy for radios for people to hear it. So that's something that we are currently working on. But it's all just kind of like a email or a text away. If I have a beat, I'll send it to him, and if he likes it, he'll do something to it. But it's real just like nonchalant, like if it works, then it works, and if not, then find something else to do. But yeah, I mean, I always have stuff in the pipeline.